Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us here in Sacred You, our sacred community. We are tonight talking in the Inspire, Innovate, Ignite Conversations That Count panel. And we have with us some amazing women that I'm going to let introduce you. My name is Gretchen Theaktston. And Jackie, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself.
There we go. There we go. First thing, I'm obviously technologically challenged today. I had one too many things open on my screen. So I'm Jackie Simmons, and I'm known for helping intuition-based entrepreneurs, healers, and coaches wrap businesses around their gifts. So they are living while they're here and making a profit at the same time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Heidi?
Hi, and I'm Heidi Henyon. I'm up in the United States outside of Washington, D.C., and I work primarily with women who are recovering from trauma and abuse and addiction and helping them really become their own best friend. Because I think once we do that, we have the ability then to start getting over the limiting beliefs and the things that cause us to move into that. And then I also have a retreat center that just is opening this year. We opened, actually we opened in October, but still finishing the renovation. So first guest this month.
Thank you. Krys?
So I'm Krys Crafters, and I'm in British Columbia in Canada, just outside of Vancouver. I'm a mindset coach, and I help women who are stuck in the mode of super busy overachievers, and I help them reconnect with their purpose, their strength, and their wisdom so they can pivot to being goal-oriented high performers.
Thank you. Bex?
Hi everyone, I'm coming from Australia, down under, coming from a little island called King Island at the moment, but typically coming from Sydney. And I'm known as your cheerleader for change. So I'm a trainer, a psychotherapist, counsellor, facilitator, and a people change consultant. And I'm actually here on a mission to help you feel successful by making life more purposeful. And I'm inspired by nature to do that. So very excited about helping people feel success when the measure of success is constantly changing.
Thank you. And Reshma, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Reshma Bhojwani. I live in Connecticut, USA. I am a women empowerment guide, and I help women who want to live fulfilled lives and live the life they desire and deserve, and flourish with freedom so that they can live with love, peace, joy. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Reshma. Our discussion tonight is centered around, is fear stopping you from living your best spiritual life? So the question I'd like to open with is, how do we determine if we are living in fear? And how do we then overcome it? Krys, can you give us some insight on that?
I think fear is something we feel in our bodies. If I think of something and it elicits a response in me, a physical response that is unpleasant, then to me that's a trigger of fear. That's one of the indicators, I would say. It's also that once you become aware of the gremlins that are whispering in your ear, you also become aware of what's holding you back.
Very nice. And Jackie, what about you? Is fear associated with lack or loss?
Yeah, I'm on the flip side of fear, and that's partly because the other hat I wear is a co-founder of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. And fear is what stops people from having conversations about uncomfortable topics. Nothing that we believe about what's going to happen when we broach a topic is true. But as a parent of a suicidal teen, I was afraid to bring up the topic because I was afraid I'd put the thought back in her head. It's a myth. And most of the things we believe that provoke fear in our bodies, and I absolutely agree with you, Krys. I'm grateful you brought that up. Whatever emotion we're experiencing in our bodies is triggered by nothing other than what we're thinking 99 times out of 100. And it was understanding that we are more afraid of a thought than we are of dying. It was a very eye-opening journey for me.
Mm-hmm. And
So
Heidi.
what?
Oh, sorry, Jackie. I thought you were
Yeah.
done. Go ahead.
That's okay. And forgive me, because you may have to cut me off at some point. If there's an open mic, I just will gravitate towards it.
Okay.
So I'm going to invite everybody. I'm just going to say, hey, if you're involved in this conversation, if you're listening, please start this conversation by taking a deep breath. Untrigger yourself and know that you can by just taking in a deep breath. And from there, listen in.
Heidi, are there any tools that can help us with these, what I like to call negative loop tapes that are going in and causing us to live in fear?
Yeah. Thank you, by the way, for having this conversation. This is a really good one. And I have to ditto what Krys and Jackie are saying, fear being in the body. And that's one of the things I really work with my clients on, particularly because so many of them feel that they have chronic PTSD. It's when you feel it in the body, when those loops start coming, if you can tune into your body and settle in, our body, I believe, is our greatest tool for living this life. And it can calm us down and it can accelerate us into the ozone at the same time. When we learn simply by breath, by awareness, that is happening. The other thing that I like to work with my clients on is an acronym for fear, which is false evidence appearing real. Right. Most of the time, our fear, it's like it's really not showing us the truth, or it may be bringing up old memories and old thoughts that aren't real right now, yet we're still living in them. And so, it's that awareness and understanding fear is also teaching us something. If I'm feeling fear, centering, calming down and saying, okay, why am I afraid? Even talking to the part in my head that's afraid, because most of the time it's not all of me that's afraid. It's like a little girl, or it's a memory, or it's like you were saying, the looping thought that's generating it. And many times it is a warning. What's going on? Why am I afraid? What inside needs to come forward so I don't have to be afraid? I don't have to feel fear anymore.
Right. So, Bex, how do we deal with fear when we're trying to reach our spiritual potential?
Well, I love everything that everyone said, and I really resonated with what Heidi said about that body awareness. And I feel that the fear can sometimes, the symptoms of fear can be increased self-doubt, lack of self-esteem, social anxiety, and the inability to adapt to new situations. And so that could really stop you then, of course, from living that best spiritual life. So being able to feel into if it is happening for you, and then how it's happening for you, can, I think, really be that first step to reach out and get some help with it. Because I think that the way that fear acts is a separator, and it separates yourself from yourself, and it also separates yourself from community and others. So living your best spiritual life for me is about actually sharing more of myself and understanding more of myself. So being able to actually stop the separation when fear comes in, knowing that that's a fear trigger for me is separation. Being able to do that has helped me really come back to myself and what I want in my best spiritual life, so that I can go, no, that's just a response. And this moment in time, let's move through that moment in time to the next moment, which is where I can step forward into what I really want, which is to connect with others, which is to connect to my higher self and connect to my belief system that I want to create, not those self-limiting beliefs that perhaps are that fear-driven belief system.
Right. Thank you. And Reshma, can vulnerability help people conquer fear?
Yes. Vulnerability is a strength. A lot of people think it's a weakness, but once you are vulnerable first to yourself and you admit where you are in your life and why you're there, like I stayed stuck in my unhappy marriage for way longer because I had fear of the unknown and wasn't admitting to myself that my marriage is not going as well as it should be and things like that. So being vulnerable is very important. It also helps with communication and letting the other person know what is going on in your mind and what you're happy with, what you're not happy with, what's working with you, what's not working for you, and things like that. So that's my thoughts about that.
Thank you. Krys, does being open to receive, regardless of what it is, and accepting the now, give people more freedom to conquer fear and delve into their spirituality?
So I will just give you a bit of a background that I used to be a police officer, and vulnerability was not part of our language. And that armor isolated me and meant that I had to do it all on my own. When I learned how to be vulnerable and to receive, that's when I was set free. To me, vulnerability is freedom. Freedom to connect, freedom to get support, freedom to not have to do it alone, freedom to not have to be enough. Enough in quotations, because I am enough, but in the moment, I don't have to do it myself. And asking for help is, I think, the antithesis of being this armor. Asking for help is, I think, as Reshma just said, that is a sign of strength.
Right.
But that got lost on me, and I paid for that dearly. So I think vulnerability is the door to freedom.
Thank you. Jackie, when we talk about different spirituality tools, how do they help us walk through or around fear that we feel is present in our life?
What most people get confused on is what spirituality really does and its relationship with fear. And for me, the tool that brings that into my mind the most is simply body awareness. And so again, it starts with a deep breath for me. The other is I don't give anybody permission to wash my brain. Not anymore. And we are being brainwashed all the time. What you take in through your eyes, what you take in through your ears, is it just as important as what you take in through your mouth for the nourishment. So my recommendation as far as a tool, find things that give you joy to hear, things that give you joy to see, things that give you joy to smell, to touch, to taste. Use your 5 senses to build up your emotional awareness of joy, because you used your 5 senses for every other belief system that you have built up. So consciously choose what you want to believe. And if you want to believe the world is more joyful, take and control what's washing around in your brain.
Okay, thank you. Heidi, when we talk about opening yourself up to love and receiving, how does this affect people who are living inside toxic relationships?
That's a really good question. For me and for working with my clients, the first person that I want them to open up to is themselves, to open up to the love in themselves, because when we can build that within ourselves and build that strong relationship, then the toxic relationships that we, quote, open up to, we don't open up to the toxicity. We start being able to see the person as they are through the toxicity that they're bringing up. But we can see the person behind that. Additionally, when we become our own best friend, we can move out of the toxic relationship much more easily, because we start trusting ourselves, we start trusting the resources we have inside, and we start moving away from fear. You know, we start, and that's how I got out of them. You know, my history is from a very, very abusive childhood and other things. And once, especially in my 20s, I started really looking inside, becoming self-referencing, calling on my own spiritual, you know, path, so to speak, or however you communicate with spirit. That's where I started getting the strength inside. I was able to stay open and vulnerable with myself and really become aware, nurture myself, which pulled me out of those toxic relationships. And it helped me to understand that most of the times, if somebody's creating a toxic world, they're coming from their own hurt and their own pain. So I can have compassion for that. I don't have to live in it, you know, yet I can still have compassion for that.
Great. Bex, how does forgiveness help us move closer to our spirituality and away from the people who are helping us to hang on to fears that we have?
A very good one. Forgiveness is, I think, again, derived by a belief system of someone else's wrong, or something was wrong in a situation. However, there's always the complexity of what is wrong or right in somebody's eyes. That's what I believe. And so forgiving someone for something may be based on something that you need to let go of in your belief system that was wrong, or it may be inherently wrong because we live in society as well. So there are, you know, the complexity of what is wrong and right. So forgiving someone is, I think, a key to change, and embracing the change means that accepting something doesn't mean that you're complacent. It simply means you're being aware of the reality of the situation, and you're making a choice to actually move through it rather than getting stuck in it. And so I think that forgiveness is actually moving through something with somebody, and you can either do that with them by having a discussion with them and working through that with them and sharing why you thought it was wrong and how it made you feel and all of those things that go with it. But you do have to then be able to be in a partnership with that and listen to their aspect and their side. So there's one way to do that. And the other way, and of course you can get help doing that, because that's very hard if you know, are in a position where it's a big thing that you need to forgive. So you may need to get somebody to help and be a moderator, or you know, be a sounding board as well too after each of those conversations. Or you can actually do it for yourself. You can actually have that forgiveness piece and let go of a situation so it doesn't become part of your future. It can be part of your past without actually bringing it into your future. So for me, it's about embracing that change and bring peace of mind and make it easier to cope by not having that as an Achilles heel of, you know, that's happened to me before with another person, so it's going to happen again. It's like, that's happened, and I'm going to be able to, you know, forgive that situation, but I still won't be able to be that person's friend or be with that person or be in that situation again. But I'm choosing to be in different ones, and that's not going to hold me back.
Thank you. Reshma, when we talk about self-love in relation to fear, how did the two meet or diverge to get us closer to our spirituality?
Putting self-love is all about putting yourself first and giving there's no, it's selfless to put yourself first. It's not selfish to do that. And you have your own self-worth and self-esteem and self-confidence. So that helps you to do the right thing for people, for yourself, to get out of a bad relationship or get out of a bad, like if you don't enjoy your job, you get out of it. And fear and courage is like, because you have self-worth, you have more courage also. And fear and courage like tango together. It's not you have to have one or the other. You can go and do things along, even if you are afraid, you can still go and do things and do the bold things and succeed in life and your situations.
Thank you.
I hope I
Krys?
answered the question.
No, you did. It was very nice. Krys, how do boundaries help us cope with walking into your spirituality and away from fear?
Boundaries is accepting your values and what's important to you. It's standing up for yourself. It's got nothing really to do with anyone else. It's saying, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is what I accept. And when I acknowledge who I am and what I stand for, and I bring that forth into the way I show up in life, for me, that is living your spirit. And I think one thing that needs to be clear for each one of us is, how do we define spirit and what do we define as spirituality? And it can be different for different people. So in my case, being spiritual means honoring who I am and the gifts that I have to share with the world in order to make it a better place for all. So that's what spirituality is for me. So could you just repeat the question? I'm not sure if I got sidetracked on that.
How boundaries can help us walk away from fear and increase our spirituality.
Yeah, so knowing that I will not be tolerating anyone I will not allow anybody to violate my values and my purpose. I will not allow anyone to prevent me from living those. To me, that is what boundaries are.
Okay.
Is distancing myself from things that are going to cause me to dishonor what I stand for.
Very nice. Thank you. So we have actually quite a few people that are watching us, including Coral, and I encourage anybody to who's able to post any comments, and we can have a look and see what's going on out there, because this is a good conversation. I'm really enjoying it. So Heidi, when we talk about boundaries and you have someone that's close in your life, how do you establish and maintain those boundaries when they're pushing against it?
Well, I think the important thing about that is when you establish a boundary, you have to, and especially if you're, and this sounds so weird, but if you're training somebody to understand your boundary, because so often when we have to start consciously setting boundaries, it's because we've been in a world where we've let people devalue us. I really love what Krys was saying about, I've been taking so many notes, I've been just loving everything, but boundaries are accepting your own value. So if you set a boundary, the first thing is, especially in a relationship, it has to be one you're willing to keep. Because if you say you can no longer have this behavior, and then you allow it and go, well, next time, or you start doing, a threat or something like that, but they keep pushing the boundary. So you have to value yourself enough. Again, it comes back to, do I value myself enough to keep this boundary? And you have to do that. And if you say something, in an extreme case, if you say, if you do this one more time, I'm leaving, then you need to leave when they break that.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just telling people your own boundaries don't mean anything.
Sure.
And boundaries, I've worked with a number of people who thought it was not a good idea to set boundaries. And for me, the reality around that is a boundary is a place in which I can grow and I can challenge myself to grow. And that's really important. And it makes it safer for me to challenge myself to grow, as long as your boundaries are just a little bit out of your comfort zone. But the real key, especially in relationship, is you need to set boundaries that you are going to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I had a question for you, Jackie, and my brain has left the building. So let me see if I can retrieve it. Okay. When we're building a support system to help us grow spiritually and release fear, what kind of people should we be reaching out to? What kind of compass are we looking for when we're looking for other people?
You're going to have two groups of people. And I love that you use the word should, because my primary teaching is on leaving shouldville, staying out of the energy. And yet in this context, it's perfect, because there are things for us to be mindful of, and the people around us are one of them. Some of the greatest loves, people who love you the most, will also be the source of your greatest discomfort, because out of love, they will pull you down to keep you safe, because they're afraid if you get outside of the campfire, you do something new, you might die. And it's not their rational brain. This is their gut training. This is their hardwiring. This is where stress comes from, is when we don't understand the motivations, and the motivations are not conscious. So you're going to surround yourself with people who love you, but may not get you, especially if you're going to step out and do something new, take a risk. And you want to surround yourself with people who will support you without needing to understand what you're doing and how it's going to turn out, and will just support your journey. So you're going to want to look for both, and they're probably not going to be the same people. So that's how I see this conversation unfolding. And I love the way that it is going. So thank you, Gretchen and Sophia, for pulling this together.
Thank you. Bex, how do we teach our children not to live in fear, or even better, to understand when it is starting to infringe on their boundaries?
Great question. And I think it really starts with ourself and having that self-awareness, and the self-awareness in relation to what's holding us back, to then not be putting that on and projecting that onto our children. A practical way, though, is to look at your language, or to listen to the language that you use. And is it language that's empowering or open, so that they can create their own possibilities and have their own, thoughts about what they need to do and how they need to step into the world or be present in the world? Or is it limiting language, which is, you might get hurt, or, there's one that is that fear piece as well too, is text me when you get home, because I want to make sure you got home safe. That's one that actually is really a caring one, but also one that can be putting something in someone's mind about something happening on the way home. So if something happens, like something's going to happen on the way home, my goodness, I've got to get home because I've got to text mum. So little slight adjustments to language can actually be a big benefit, especially when it comes to passing down fear-based belief systems in relationships and family.
Well said. Thank you. Reshma, when we're, because words are so important and they convey so much when we're talking to other people, what kind of words do you use when you talk about spirituality to other people, when you're trying to perhaps advise them to look a little deeper into themselves?
The words are very important. Using positive words, more high energy words like love, peace, joy versus fear, shame, guilt, that makes a lot of difference. And so then when you use positive words and you feel good, first of all, if you feel good about yourself, you'll automatically use positive words, and you won't put yourself down, and you will have more self-worth. So that helps with the spirituality. Then you attract, as per the law of attraction, you'll attract good things. It's like, is the glass half full or half empty? If you always think the glass is half empty, then you'll obviously attract that sort of stuff. Like if I have my business and I'm living off of my savings, but that is I'm grateful that I have my savings, which is allowing me to work on my business, versus, oh my God, the money is going to get over, and my bank account will soon, I'll finish all my money and then I'll be doomed. So it's that sort of, so the words you use, how you look at it, and if you're grateful for your current situation and for what you have, versus always worrying about what you won't have or lack of. So abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset is the way to spirituality and living the life you want.
Thank you. So one last question, and I'm going to ask everybody this, starting with you, Krys. When we talk about judgment, how do you free yourself from the negative, inherently negative aspect of what judgment is for yourself and other people?
My question to myself when it comes to judgment of myself or anyone else is, what's the source? What's the source? And for myself, I have a tool that I use when I hear those voices, the judgment. It's a tool that helps me identify really what's going on. What is the script that's going on in my head? And I've done it often enough that I know that script. And it's like, no, that's not me. What's my truth? And it allows me to get past my own self-judgment. When I'm on the receiving end of someone else's judgment, I tell myself that they are looking at me and reacting to me through the lens through which they see the world. It's not about me, it's about the lens that they're looking through. And I have reached a point in my life where I have enough self-worth and self-confidence that someone else's judgment of me doesn't tell me anything about me. I mean, sometimes it's, if I do something really that I'm not happy with or proud of, right, and someone says, hey, that's not good enough. I mean, that's feedback, right? So I do have to be aware of real feedback. But for the most part, other people's judgment of me is about their view of the world and not mine.
Thank you. Jackie?
Well, I'm laughing because I've got a 4-step process that I was teaching on earlier today, which is how to positively respond to anything, even other people's judgments. And it's simply appreciate that they took the time to say something, that they took the time to engage, acknowledge what they said is their truth, ask for more. Tell me more about that. The minute you come from curiosity rather than from defensiveness, you diffuse the entire situation and then just allow them to be who they are and give yourself permission to do the same. And what made me really laugh was, Krys, your way of explaining it was exactly what I teach, and I do it in a poem, which is to help my students. And it's what other people say and do says a lot about them and nothing about you.
Exactly. Reshma.
Yes.
Same question to you.
Oh, yes. For me, judgment is all about society and cultural expectations. It's how people perceive things. So I'm an author of the book Pandemic Budgeting and Finances, How to Use Piggy Banks and Stop Counting Sheep. And first, when my family heard about it, they were thrilled and they were so excited. And they were in fact surprised that I wrote a book, because I've been in IT and I'm more of the analytical, logical mind. I would say I used to be, but they were so surprised that I have this creativity in me. So they were very happy. And then later, they were like kudos and hoorah and all that stuff. And then later they came to know that I have quit my job and I'm now a financial coach, and this is what I do. This is my livelihood, the book and financial coaching. And that time their whole shift, they shifted from wow, wonderful to oh my God, we thought this is a hobby and now this is your full-time gig. And what were you thinking? And how are you going to make money? And how are you going to pay your bills? So there was a whole shift in the way they looked at what the same book situation, like just flipped, and then they disappeared, and now they were like keeping away from me and thinking I've lost my mind and things like that. So that is judgment for me.
Yeah. Bex, what about you?
Yeah, great questions and great perspectives. I'm loving hearing everything that, all the different aspects that people are bringing up. I actually feel that judgment is related to ego. So our ego makes us believe that we know best for us and also others. And so when we get too attached to those notions, we start to worry that we're not living up to them, or we're holding people to account to this unrealistic thing that they don't even know about because it's part of our belief system. And the same when people put judgment onto you or another person, it's about this ego-based place that they think that you need to be delivering something that you're delivering to them at. So I feel that, once we can step outside of that ego base that people need to live up to something for you that they don't even know about, or you are they're imposing something or projecting something onto you that's based on their belief system, then we can be more at ease about that. And a way to do that is don't overthink it. So you can become paralyzed about overthinking or over worrying about not getting to be enough or do enough or hitting this ego-based perspective of self and others. And so being able to slow the thinking, it may take a while, but eventually you'll see that the situation wasn't as bad as you thought. And I think someone bringing it twofold said that at the beginning. It's, the fear is based on thinking about a situation is really bad when it's actually not as bad as the thought that we're having about the situation. And so then I would say create some optimism and cultivate optimism. So transforming those thoughts or those negative thoughts into positive self-talk and positive affirmations, thinking about the flip side of things. So I say to some of my clients, let's have an opposites day. Let's think in the exact opposite of what you first think, flip that and say the opposite of it in the same breath. And that really starts to change people's way of thinking about things, because they realize they go to the drama or the fear of the situation or the thing that's happening for them. But if they then are, okay, I've got to do the opposite of that, then there's a possibility, there's an opening up. And for me, that's an opening up of opportunity, optimism, but also that connects to spirituality, because it's like there's hope in that. That gives them something bigger than themselves, that there's a possibility that is something that they can connect to that's different to where they really are in this situation currently.
Thank you. Heidi?
Yeah, thank you. Wow, just so much wisdom in this conversation. I'm like I said, I'm taking lots of notes and really enjoying this. I think there's a couple of things that I would like to talk about with judgment. First is we do it. Our mind does it, we do it. And, there's many times where I'll have a snap judgment about something and it's like, oh, hi, what are you doing there? Okay. And then I can go through knowing that it's okay. Judgment is just part of the way our mind works, and it's how our mind tries to keep us safe and stuff. So being forgiving for ourselves for being judgmental and working as soon as we can catch it to try not to project it out into the world, to find a different way to say something. Secondly is when I'm being judged, if it's triggering something in me, because most of the time when people say stuff, it just kind of, it's like, okay, yep, that's their belief system. Is there something real in it? Maybe not. I can examine that. However, when I feel triggered, i.e. my body clenches up, I feel that fear, oh my God, what are they thinking? Then I have to sit back and say, okay, what in me is being triggered and why? And how do I heal that part of me? Very often, those triggers are just places within me that are ready to release, heal, get rid of. I just need to acknowledge that. And again, it comes back to being that best friend to myself. And the other thing that happens a lot that I notice, particularly with clients, and I certainly did this for a long time in relation to spirituality, am I spiritual enough? Am I doing it right? And many times we have to really step back and say, okay, that is somebody else's judgment. I may be perpetuating it, but it's somebody else's judgment, because whatever I'm doing to grow, to connect to spirit, to be kind, it's okay. And so, tying this back to the conversation of spirituality is finding your own internal connection to spirituality rather than what people are trying to tell you it's supposed to be.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that Cora Carradine, who has been listening to us, wanted to thank you all. She says that sometimes it's hard. She's got a 19-year-old, and sometimes it's hard. They don't take their parents' advice. And she's also is an overthinker like many of us are as parents. So she's right there with us. So thank you, Coral. I would like to take an opportunity for everyone here to just tell us how people can reach you. And we'll just go right around the hub here. You want to start, Krys?
Anyone who is interested in continuing a discussion like this with me is more than welcome to just go to my calendar and book a call. It's meetwithkrys.com, and Krys is spelled Krys. So meetwithkrys.com, take you to my calendar, book a time that works for you, and let's have a conversation. What's on your mind? What's going on? You'll get clarity out of the conversation. Doesn't mean we have to work together. If we can, great, but I'm always open to conversations. You can also go to my website, which is kryspapias.com, and there's a downloadable document there about the process that I use with my clients, a simple 3-step process to go from wherever you are now. If life's not working for you now and you want more out of life, that document will give you the steps that I use with my clients and the ones that I used to turn my own life around.
Thank you, Krys. Jackie?
There we go. Thank you. And for everyone listening, there's 2 places you can reach me. One is through the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, and that's just teensuicideprevencionsociety.com. Go there and get the rules for emotional cage fighting, especially if you have a teen. This is how you have the talk that stops suicide with someone before you think they need it. And that's our mission. We are a pure prevention provider. We give you the script, the guide, and the training for free. Please have this talk, break this silence before you think they need it. So that's an easy way for people to reach me. The other place is if you want to know what I'm up to, and Krys, God bless you, I have not had the time on my schedule to be able to do one-on-one calls in a while. So mine is all through groups. I've got always a $47 offer. My main theme is how can I help you have unlimited confidence? So it's always at unlimitedconfidencelive, LIVE.com. And so that's where you find out what I'm up to, how to reach me currently, where I'm going to be live next. Unlimitedconfidencelive.com. Thank you so much, guys. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Jackie. Reshma, how can people reach you?
Yeah, you can join my Facebook group. It's called Flourish with Freedom. And another way is you could email me, Reshma Bhojwani 1@gmail.com, and we can schedule a call and learn more about each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Reshma. Bex?
You can visit my website at Bex Smith, so bexsmith.com.au, because I'm in Australia, so don't forget the AU for me. And we can book a introductory chat, or I also do have a download as well, which is how you can make success purposeful to you. And it's about finding your flow and being able to help you find your flow when the goals are constantly changing in life. So it gives some great tips there. And I also do have a Facebook group as well. And I'm doing a tribe, also a local tribe in Sydney. And we're going to have some face-to-face gatherings and get back into nature, because that's really important as well too, for spirituality, I think.
Thank you, Bex. And Heidi.
Okay, it's very simple. It's HeidiHenyon.com. That's my website. And on there, you can book also, like Krys, I would love to continue this conversation if anybody wants to. So there's access to a 30-minute chat. Just you can schedule it on my scheduler, very easy. And then also under books, I've written I've written 5 books, but 3 of them are available as my gift to you if you want to download them. And they're about 2 of them are about healing trauma and abuse, and the other one is how to sense energy. It's like the 101 guide to how do you work with and sense energy and figure out how you do that. So, and again, thank you, everybody. This has been great. I've got 2 pages of notes.
Yeah.
I will be quoting you.
So I've been sitting here living in the matrix talking to everybody. I'm Gretchen Theaktston. I'm a transformation coach, and you can get me at gretchentheaktston.com. I want to thank each of you, Krys, Jackie, Reshma, Bex, Heidi. This has been an absolute treasure trove of information. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And please, whoever's out there, reach out to these ladies. They have amazing ways to help you and information that I'm sure will be of value as you make your way deeper into spirituality. So thank each and every one of you very much.
Thank you for making this possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if I may say, Gretchen, can I also thank you and thank everyone, but Gretchen, as a facilitator, thank you for facilitating a wonderful conversation. It's been really, 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 really great. And I know you've said that you're a transformational coach, but tell us about your tribe.
I have a tribe inside our beautiful community called Self-Love Puzzle Pieces, which we basically go back and we take those adjectives, verbs, and emotions that we're all surrounded with, break them down, and give them back to you in your own self-love power. And we meet every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
Or Wednesday here in Australia, depending on where you are. The great thing about our sacred communities, we are global, and you can have tribes at various different times in the different hemispheres. So thank you for that. And we are putting all the information from these wonderful women and all their all their programs and everything in the comments. So please do check them out. Mm-hmm. And just before we go, a couple other things. Reshma, you're the wonderful host of the Flourish with Freedom Tribe. So tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. I realized I forgot to mention that
okay.
when I was. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I do the Flourish with Freedom every Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is Saturdays at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Time, where we have conversations about flourishing with freedom, for living the life you deserve and desire, so that you fulfill your dreams and live a fulfillment life, and not worry about what society and culture has to say, and having faith, trust, belief in yourself, and that you deserve whatever you want with freedom.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to it. It's actually this time next week.
Yes.
So at this time, every Friday or Saturday, depending on where you are in our beautiful world. So, I'd like to thank everyone and for here, and for everyone who's watching us, including Carol and everything who's been really engaging in the chat. I hope it's been very, very beneficial. Do stick around. We are putting all more links in the comments, because we're just starting our panel discussions for the year. This is only our second one for the year. Next week, we've got some amazing ones coming up, including energy healing. What do all the modalities have in common? And a very interesting one, 5D romantic relationships. 5D romantic relationships, plus so much more. Click on the links. And for everyone who wants to know more about what sacredyou.love offers, check out our website, sacredyou.love, and come and join us. Come and join Gretchen's tribe. Come and join Reshma's tribe. If you're in the Sydney area, come and join Bex tribe. And sometime soon, I'm going to put Heidi on the spot. Come and join Heidi's tribe, because Heidi is also an amazing, wonderful member of our community, and we'll be getting Heidi's tribe up running at some stage this year. No pressure, Heidi. But come and join us just for $1 Australian. $1 Australian dollar, you get to try out Gretchen's tribe, Reshma's tribe, and all of our other, we've got about 20 other tribes at the moment. For $1 Australian dollar, you get to try it out for 3 weeks. And then after that, it's just 15 Australian dollars a month. And it's about $10 US, $10 something US a month. You get all the tribes, including that, plus so much more. So do click on the links when they're in the chat, if they're not already there. And now, again, we've already said it, but thank you, everyone. It has been a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.